Hey guys, Abel here, back with another video, and in today's one I want to share a bit of a philosophical message about something that was of course covered on this channel before, but what I'm realizing is that certain things just need to be said again and again because they tend to be forgotten. So what I want to talk about is my little philosophical outlook about staying lean, getting lean and staying lean. So, more and more people, luckily, over time have sought me out for coaching, and a good number of you by now have honored me with your trust to help you through with something so important as what happens with your body and with your health. And a good number of these people are coming to me with the goal of trying to get lean and stay lean. And some people have more fat to lose than others. Some people only need to lose like 10, 15 pounds. Some people might have to lose double or triple that. And over time, of course, I'm picking up on certain trends of what tends to distinguish those people who have an easier time getting to their goal. What are those traits of the people who have a harder time? And some of this has to do with genetics, of course, it absolutely does. I know some people who, if they don't pay any attention whatsoever, they will maintain single-digit body fat, 9-10% body fat. I myself, if I don't pay any attention, if I just eat whatever tastes good and don't give a shit, I will maintain something like 20% body fat, maybe slightly above. But I also know people who will maintain 35% body fat if they do that. So I'm luckier than some people and less lucky than some others. So genetics has a role to play in this, but there is another really important concept, and that's kind of what I want to talk about in this video, and that is the concept of acceptance. If you want to be significantly leaner than what you are currently, 10, 15, 20% leaner than what you are right now, that requires long-term calorie management. If you want to be significantly leaner than what you are now, you will have to maintain a lower general energy intake than what you are eating currently. And if you want to do that in the long term, that requires a lifestyle change. And that's where this concept of acceptance comes in. Because most people, most of you watching this, will have to accept that some things in the way you're currently living your life will have to change. And some of those changes will have to be permanent changes. If you want to get significantly leaner than what you are right now, if you want to drop 10, 15, 20% of body fat, that requires a fat loss diet, yes. But the way I like to look at it when I'm working together with someone is I'm trying to teach them how to live life like a leaner person. When you're going through a fat loss diet, some things are only temporary. For example, you might have days when you're getting a bit hungry. And on some of those days, you might go, I'm pretty hungry, but I want to hit this calorie deficit. I want to get to my goal in this time frame. So I will wake up tomorrow. I will be fine. I will be a bit hungry today. That is temporary. You don't have to be hungry forever. But the bigger picture stuff, eating a certain way, selecting foods in a certain way, just generally paying a bit more attention, being a bit more prepared in certain situations, like when you're traveling, for instance, or when you're leaving to work in the morning, don't just counting on the fact that, I'll just grab a donut or something like that for lunch, but actually preparing a healthy lunch for yourself. These are things which will have to become permanent changes. These are things that you will have to do every day. And this is something that trips a lot of people off. And a lot of people have a hard time accepting that this is not just some temporary, sucky thing that you have to put up with until you get lean, but these have to be permanent changes. And that's where acceptance comes in. And this doesn't mean that if you get lean and if you manage to stay lean, then you have to accept that life is going to be boring and restrictive and not enjoyable. It just means that life will have to be different in some ways. In many ways, it can be just as enjoyable as it was before. In some ways, it will have to be a bit more complicated. Because not giving a shit, not caring whatsoever about what you're doing, has a lot of convenience elements to it. Most of us have to pay the price if we do that. I certainly do. But it is very convenient in certain ways. It's very low stress, it requires zero brain power, and some of that stuff we will have to give up. Some things in the way we are currently living will have to change permanently. And that's a big pill to swallow to some people. But the thing is, and that's kind of the good news about all of this, is if you do accept these changes, and if you are willing to make those changes for life living in a leaner body is attainable to most of you, and actually it can be pretty enjoyable to most of you. You know, most of the people that you see who manage to stay lean year-round, most of them don't struggle. Most of them don't suffer with that lifestyle. Some of them do, unfortunately, but most people actually enjoy that lifestyle quite a bit. Eating in a healthy way and upping your energy expenditure a little bit and living this leaner lifestyle, living in a leaner body, can actually be a really enjoyable way to live. You adjust to certain things, and even physical changes take place, like your palate changes. You actually learn to enjoy these simpler, more quote-unquote natural tastes over time. But this accommodation to this lifestyle, learning to enjoy this kind of lifestyle, can only happen if you learn to accept certain things as permanent changes. If you have this mindset of, okay, I'm willing to do these things, but they kind of suck, and I wish I could do these other things and live this other super awesome lifestyle that is waiting for me somewhere else, you will never be able to maintain your body fat percentage, that leaner physique that you want. Trust me on this. I can tell you this from experience. I had this mindset before, and I was never able to maintain my leanness. I always rebounded after a fat loss diet, and I always hated myself, and it was a big disappointment after all. So you have to come to this point of acceptance, and that will look differently to different people. You know, for some people, this acceptance comes down to things that you're actively doing, like being more prepared in certain situations. For other people, it's about things that they will have to give up. You know, a very classic example that I like to give in my case is peanut butter. That was my go-to binge food back in the day. And eventually it got me into trouble so many times that I just had to come to this conclusion that, look, peanut butter, sure, is like really tasty and whatever, it's awesome, but it gets me into trouble again and again. So you know what, I'm just not gonna have peanut butter. And I didn't have peanut butter now for like 3 years. And honestly, I don't even remember how it tastes like. I mean, maybe I could recall how it smells like, kind of, but not really. So I don't miss peanut butter in my day-to-day life. You know, life in the past 3 years has been fun and good and enjoyable. But if I had this mindset of, man, like life with peanut butter would be so much more fun, like it sucks so badly that I don't have it, then it would be really, really tough. And it would only be a matter of time until I slip up and go and binge on peanut butter. You know, one final example that I want to give on this, and this is something that I bring up in private conversations when I talk about this, but now I'll say it into the camera, and it's a kind of a weird example, but I think it serves to illustrate is, you know, when I was in my partying high school days, which, you know, was a long time ago, 10 years ago or something, I would go out with my friends on the weekends, and at a certain time I tried some substances, not alcohol and not weed even, which made partying a lot of fun. You know, these things work, and they work really well. And unfortunately, they worked so well that I could really quickly see that in no time, I'm gonna get addicted to these things. You know, I could see the writing on the wall that, man, like partying is a lot of fun with these things, but the next day I was depressed and I was already counting the minutes until the next weekend would come around and I could do these things again. And I really quickly made the conclusion, luckily I was mature enough to realize this, that I just cannot do this. Like, I just cannot handle these compounds. Some of my friends could, you know, good for them, but I just couldn't. So I really quickly made the decision when I was like 18 years old or something that I just cannot do this. I have to give this thing up. And that's what I did. So I didn't use those things again. And, you know, the past 10 years was still fun. You know, I still went out and I still attended parties. I still had a fun time and life was enjoyable and fulfilling and all of those things without using these compounds. So life can be fun and enjoyable and full of hedonic pleasures even if you give certain things up and even if you accept that some things, as fun as they might be, might have to go. So that's kind of what I want to tell you in this video, and it was a bit of a philosophical message, but hopefully it was useful and insightful still, and hopefully what I actually wanted to get across actually came across. So let me know what you think about all of this. Drop a comment and let me know your thoughts. Like the video if you liked it, and subscribe for more content like this, and hire me for coaching if you want to get lean or more muscular and you need some help with it. So that's all I wanted to say in this video, and have a great day, and see you in the next one.